Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome to Heaven of the Heart. This is your safe space to pause, breathe, and find strength again. Here, we talk about self-care, love, and the gentle power that lives within every woman. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Let's begin.
Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying a conversation in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing? Or maybe you catch yourself thinking, why do I always end up in the same kind of relationship? The truth is, love rarely collapses in a single moment. It's not usually one explosive fight or one unforgivable mistake that ends a relationship. More often, love is chipped away slowly by patterns. Patterns that sneak in quietly, repeat themselves daily, and create cracks in the foundation of trust. We call these toxic patterns. And here's the hardest part to swallow. Sometimes they come from him, but sometimes they come from us, too. Think about it. Have you ever rolled your eyes when he shared something? Have you shut down during a disagreement because you didn't want to argue anymore? Or maybe, without realizing it, you've become the one who constantly points out what's wrong, but rarely celebrates what's right. These behaviors may seem small, almost harmless, but over time, they become silent destroyers of love. They turn connection into distance, tenderness into resentment, and partnership into a lonely silence. And I want to tell you something important right now. Breaking these patterns is not about blame. It's not about proving who's right or wrong. It's about recognizing what keeps love stuck and choosing courage over comfort. Because when you finally see the cycle, you have the power to break it. In this episode of Heaven of the Heart, we're going to talk about the toxic patterns you must break if you want love that lasts. We'll look at both sides, his behaviors and yours, so that you can identify the invisible walls that might be standing between you and the relationship you truly deserve. We'll explore things like the silent killers of communication, criticism, defensiveness, and stonewalling. The fear-driven habits that suffocate love, like clinging too tightly or withdrawing completely. And most importantly, the ways to stop repeating these cycles and replace them with healthier, healing actions. I know it can be painful to admit when you've been part of the problem, but here's the light in the dark. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you name it, you can change it. So if you've been feeling that your relationship is slipping away quietly, if you've been blaming yourself or blaming him, or just feeling stuck in a loop you can't explain, this is your moment to pause, breathe, and listen. Because your heart deserves more than survival mode. It deserves love that is alive, safe, and joyful. Let's begin this journey together. When people talk about toxic relationships, they usually imagine the big red flags: cheating, abuse, manipulation. But the truth is, many relationships don't end because of dramatic explosions. They end quietly. They dissolve through everyday patterns that eat away at intimacy, little by little, until the love that once felt unshakable becomes fragile, almost unrecognizable. These are the silent destroyers of love, and today we're going to uncover them so you can break free before they break you. Criticism, when every word feels like a weapon. It starts so small. You notice he left the dishes in the sink. You sigh, and instead of saying, "Could you help me with the dishes?" you snap, "You never clean up after yourself." That one word, never, turns a simple request into an attack on his character. Instead of hearing your need, he hears, "You're not good enough, you're failing." Criticism feels like death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't scream in anger, but it drips poison into the relationship. And if you're on the receiving end, you know the sting, feeling like no matter what you do, it's never enough. The truth is, sometimes criticism comes from love. You want things to be better. You want him to notice you, support you, change. But when criticism becomes the default language, love suffocates. The shift, instead of criticism, practice gentle requests. Replace "you never listen" with "I feel unheard right now. Could we slow down so I can share?" It may feel awkward at first, but softening your words can change the entire tone of the conversation. Defensiveness, the shield that pushes love away. Imagine opening your heart to share a frustration, and instead of being heard, you get, "Well, I wouldn't have done that if you didn't." Defensiveness is love's silent wall. It blocks connection and turns every conversation into a courtroom where each person is fighting to be the less guilty one. When he's defensive, it feels like he's refusing to see your pain. When you're defensive, it feels like protecting yourself, but in truth, it keeps intimacy out. The shift, replace the shield with responsibility. Even saying, "You're right, I see how my words came off harsh," is powerful. Taking ownership doesn't make you weak, it makes you trustworthy. Stonewalling, the quiet killer of intimacy. Some couples don't fight, they freeze. One person shuts down, crosses their arms, refuses to talk. Silence becomes punishment. Stonewalling is toxic because it communicates, "You don't matter enough for me to engage." Over time, it turns your partner into a stranger. Many women have felt this, talking to a man who's physically present but emotionally absent. But here's the mirror. Sometimes we stonewall too. We withdraw, scroll on our phones, or retreat into cold silence because it feels easier than confrontation. The shift, silence must be replaced with vulnerability. Even saying, "I'm overwhelmed right now, I need 10 minutes before we talk," keeps the door of connection open. It says, "I'm not leaving, I just need space." Contempt, when respect erodes. Contempt is criticism's crueler cousin. It's not just pointing out flaws, it's mocking, rolling your eyes, using sarcasm to belittle. This is the most dangerous pattern of all. Research shows contempt is the single strongest predictor of divorce. Why? Because love cannot survive where respect has died. If you've ever been on the receiving end of contempt, you know the deep wound it leaves. It's not just about the moment, it makes you feel unworthy, unloved, unseen. The shift, practice appreciation. Notice the small good things, even when they seem insignificant. A single genuine "thank you for making dinner" can soften the hardest edges. Respect is rebuilt in small, consistent acts of gratitude. Clinging, love driven by fear, not freedom. Sometimes the toxic pattern isn't anger, it's fear. Fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, and fear makes us cling. Maybe you check his phone, constantly ask where he's going, or panic when he doesn't reply right away. You call it caring, but deep down, you know it's fear talking. Clinging squeezes the air out of a relationship. Love cannot breathe where there is no trust. The shift, build your own anchor. Remind yourself, my worth doesn't depend on his attention. I am whole even when I'm alone. Neglect, when effort fades away. Toxic patterns aren't always about what's present, they're also about what's missing. Many relationships die not from cruelty, but from neglect. You stop saying good morning. You stop sending thoughtful texts. You stop planning time together because you're too tired. Slowly, the fire goes out. Neglect whispers, "You're not worth the effort anymore," and that whisper hurts more than any fight. The shift, choose small rituals of care. A gentle touch as you pass by, a 2-minute check-in call, a little note left on the counter. Love doesn't need grand gestures, it needs daily proof. Unspoken resentment, the silent load. When hurts aren't spoken, they don't disappear. They build up like invisible weights. Every "I'm fine" when you're not fine adds another stone. Eventually, the pile crashes down and the relationship feels unfixable. The shift, practice truth in safe doses. Instead of burying, say, "I felt hurt when you forgot our plan. Can we talk about it?" It's scary to voice pain, but unspoken pain always finds its way out, often in uglier ways. Why breaking patterns feels hard. Let's be honest, breaking these toxic patterns feels uncomfortable. Criticism feels easier than vulnerability. Defensiveness feels safer than admitting fault. Stonewalling feels calmer than facing conflict. But here's the truth. Comfort zones kill love. Growth feels awkward, but it saves relationships. Every time you choose to break a toxic cycle, you're choosing courage over comfort. You're saying, my love, my peace, my self-worth are more important than my ego. Final message. The toxic patterns don't just happen in bad relationships. They can creep into any relationship, even the most loving ones. The difference is awareness. Couples who survive are not the ones who never fall into patterns. They are the ones who notice, name, and break them before it's too late. So as you listen today, I want you to think, which of these patterns do I recognize in my own life? Which ones do I see in him? And most importantly, are I ready to break the cycle, starting now? Because love can survive mistakes, but it cannot survive silence, contempt, neglect, or fear. The sooner you break the pattern, the sooner love can breathe again. And the truth, dear listener, is that your heart is worth more than toxic cycles. You deserve love that builds you, not breaks you. Take a deep breath with me for a moment. Close your eyes if you can. Think about the patterns we've just talked about. Criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, contempt, clinging, neglect, resentment. Which of those made your heart ache a little as you listened? Which ones reminded you of a conversation you had, maybe last week, or maybe years ago, but still lingers inside you? Here's the truth. Every single person who has ever loved has fallen into at least one of these patterns. You're not broken for being human, and you're not unworthy because you've made mistakes. Love is a mirror, and it reflects back to us our deepest fears, our wounds, and our unhealed places. Sometimes those wounds make us lash out. Sometimes they make us shut down. Sometimes they make us cling so tightly that the other person feels suffocated. So before you rush to judgment, on yourself or on him, pause. Ask yourself gently, where did this pattern come from? Maybe your criticism comes from growing up in a home where you had to fight to be noticed. Maybe his stonewalling comes from being raised in a family where emotions were unsafe. Maybe your clinging comes from a past betrayal that left scars on your trust. Patterns don't appear out of nowhere. They are often survival strategies, ways our younger selves learned to cope when love felt uncertain. The problem is, what once helped us survive is now destroying the very thing we long for: true, lasting connection. And here is the invitation. You don't have to carry those patterns forever. You don't have to repeat the same cycle until love feels like a cage. Breaking toxic patterns isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. It's about catching yourself in the middle of saying, "you never," and pausing. It's about noticing when your heart wants to shut down and instead whispering, "I need space, but I'm not leaving." Small choices, repeated over time, create transformation. And sometimes, reflection also means looking at your partner with new eyes. Is he willing to see his patterns too? Does he take responsibility, or does he keep blaming you? Because love takes two people choosing growth, not one person carrying the entire weight. If you are the only one trying, the relationship may not survive. And that's okay, because healing yourself is never wasted. Even if the relationship doesn't last, you will carry your new awareness into the next chapter of your life. So tonight, when you're lying in bed, I want you to ask yourself one question. What pattern ends with me? Maybe it's the pattern of always apologizing when you're not wrong. Maybe it's the pattern of swallowing your needs until you feel invisible. Maybe it's the pattern of choosing men who cannot love you the way you deserve. Let that pattern end with you. Because the moment you choose awareness, the cycle breaks. And when the cycle breaks, healing begins. And if you ever feel discouraged, remind yourself, healing isn't linear. You may slip back into old habits sometimes. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about direction. The fact that you're listening right now, reflecting right now, already proves something powerful. You are not asleep at the wheel of your own heart. You are awake. And when you are awake, you have choices. Love is not destroyed overnight, and healing doesn't happen overnight either. But every conscious breath, every gentle word, every time you choose vulnerability over fear, you are rewriting your love story. And most of all, you are reminding yourself of the truth you may have forgotten. You are worthy of love that feels safe, kind, and alive. Before you keep walking forward, let's pause here, because I need you to hear this with your whole heart. Your worth is not defined by the patterns you've fallen into. Your worth is not defined by the mistakes you've made in love, and your worth is not defined by how someone else treats you. You were worthy the day you were born. You were worthy before you ever fell in love, and you are worthy right now, even if you feel broken, confused, or stuck. So many women carry secret shame when it comes to relationships. Maybe you think, why did I tolerate that behavior for so long? Or why did I keep going back? Or even, why do I always attract the wrong kind of love? But here's the truth. Your willingness to love is not your weakness. It is your strength. The fact that you gave your heart, even when it was risky, proves your courage. The fact that you stayed and tried proves your loyalty. The fact that you are here, listening to this, proves your growth. Toxic patterns are not reflections of who you are. They are habits you can unlearn. They are chapters, not your entire story. And no matter what has happened in your past, you can always begin again. I want you to imagine your younger self, the little girl you once were. Imagine her standing in front of you. Would you ever tell her she's unworthy because she made mistakes? Would you ever tell her she doesn't deserve love because she's imperfect? Of course not. You'd hold her. You'd tell her she is precious. That little girl is still inside of you, and she is waiting for you to speak to her with the same kindness you give to others. So let me remind you, you deserve love that makes you feel safe, not small. You deserve a partner who respects your voice, not silences it. You deserve connection that heals you, not cycles that hurt you. And if anyone, whether it's a partner, a friend, or even family, makes you feel unworthy, let me be the voice that interrupts that lie. They are wrong. Your value does not decrease because someone failed to see it. And here's something else I need you to know. Walking away from toxic patterns doesn't make you difficult. It makes you powerful. Saying no to what hurts you is saying yes to what will heal you. So the next time you feel tempted to shrink, to settle, or to accept less than you deserve, remember this. Every time you choose yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. Breaking toxic patterns isn't just about saving a relationship, it's about saving yourself. It's about reminding your heart that you are too valuable to waste on cycles that strip you of joy. So today, speak to yourself the way you wish someone else had spoken to you. Say, I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of kindness. I am worthy of a love that feels like home. And then take one small step to live in alignment with those words, because your worth is not just something to believe in, it's something to embody every single day. So here we are, love. We've walked through the shadows of toxic patterns, the criticism, the defensiveness, the silence, the fear. We've named them, we've seen them, and now you know they don't have to control your story anymore. Because the truth is, love is fragile, yes, but it is also resilient. With awareness, with courage, with kindness, you can shift the direction of your relationships. You can choose to end the cycle, whether it's in this relationship or the next chapter of your life. And remember, breaking patterns doesn't happen overnight. It's not about being perfect. It's about noticing. It's about catching yourself when you slip into an old habit and saying, wait, I know this path, and I choose differently this time. Every time you make that choice, you're rewriting your story. You're teaching your heart that it is safe. You're teaching your partner, if he is willing, that love can be built in a new way. And if he isn't willing, that's okay too, because your healing is never wasted. It will carry you forward into healthier love, into deeper peace, into a life where you no longer accept cycles that keep you small. So as you close this episode, I want you to take a moment and whisper to yourself, "The cycle ends with me." Say it again, louder this time. The cycle ends with me. Carry that truth with you. Let it guide your choices, your boundaries, your voice. Because your heart is not meant to be trapped in patterns, it is meant to be free. Thank you for spending this time with me here in Heaven of the Heart. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and every step you take toward breaking toxic cycles is a step toward the love you truly deserve. Until next time, take care of your beautiful heart.
Thank you for spending this time with me on Heaven of the Heart. Remember, you are worthy of care, love, and happiness every single day. If today's message touched your heart, please share it with another woman who needs this reminder too. Until next time, take care of your body, your mind, and your soul. And never forget, beauty has no age, and your heart is your true home.